one of my first memories. I remember that in kindergarten I'm drawing, and like there are these songs who stick in your head, and I had a drawing which was stick into my head, which was like a worm, or I don't know, earthworm or something under the stars, and I was drawing this like I think a year, many.
Wow.
And this is my memory that no, I'm drawing that one.
Welcome to the Post Definitions podcast. This is the 4th episode on a new series of artists in Germany, and I'm your host, Freddy Lancia.
And I'm Andrea Paluzzi.
Welcome. So, in spirit of the podcast, I won't try to make some introduction. We'll just jump right in and ask, are you an artist, Andrea?
Yeah, we can say that if people want to say that. And I think usually they say it.
Why do they say it?
Like what I do, I paint and I draw. But maybe the looks a bit, I don't know.
You look like an artist.
I mean, colorful clothes or like how I wear my hair, it's not maybe the most mainstream.
Especially compared to Germans, maybe always wearing dark colors.
Or sporty clothes, like
sporty
hiking.
True. Like where I come from in Seattle. What do you paint?
At the moment, I'm in a series of, like, it's related to your topic, identity. Because, usually my focus is on myself. Because I think that that's the most true, which I can say, because I know myself the best in this world, and that's creditable. That's the word.
Creditable.
This is what I can say with the most honesty and knowledge.
Yeah.
And also I think that the individual is also like the reflection of the collective, kind of. So maybe it's really personal, but somehow says things about the big picture as well.
Yeah.
And this series is about, it's interesting because I didn't know that it's going to be a series. But as I was painting what I'm painting now, I realized that they are really connected, like with the past 2 years I was painting. And it's the process of like traumas and how they can be, or hopefully dissolved or healed.
Oh, wow.
And how I live this process. And it's so it has many layers, but the actual ones I'm painting, it's with the symbol of the butterfly, how like they cocoon themselves and then they become from the ugly caterpillar into a butterfly. And it started around COVID, or actually before, because I felt this tension, probably like in the collective as well, that I just had enough of the, not just the system like the school, that all, but like regular, this modern rhythm we have. I have a much slower one, and I just felt all the time, and still today many times, like I just want to be in my cocoon. And then many things happened, but this cocoon lasted, I think, like this year. And now as I'm getting back to the university, it's like I have to be open again. So this depicting this process, that because I think that painting is like not just like I paint something, but I have to possess that feeling. So I'm creating also the feeling and the painting together. So now I want to be creating my openness.
So when you're making a painting, you're reflecting on how you have felt, or you're actively feeling that, like, in that moment?
Sometimes it's a reflection, but sometimes it's a creation. So now I want to invite these qualities, and that's why I'm painting them. But this this specifically, which is laying here, it's laying here because I don't have space. But it is, I think this is the actual moment that still the cocoon, like, you know, like the blanket, and I have to tearing it apart, but that's also like a yawn, like waking up.
Yeah.
So this feeling of tension to staying inside but moving out.
So when you paint something, does it become kind of more true than it was before? Because you invite it in and you say, like, okay, I may, like, for example, maybe you felt before like a butterfly in a cocoon in society, but then you really embraced that feeling and you created it more so than it would have been without the painting?
That's the question. I think it goes both ways.
Uh-huh. And sometimes by painting it, you can sort of escape from that feeling because you become so aware of it and move on, or?
Yeah. Or many times, mostly with the abstract ones, that I just realize that, okay, this is what I'm feeling, and it helps to getting aware of that.
Yeah. And your art is always about yourself, and then you say that is also a reflection of society. That's what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, but maybe when I will be more social again, then others will like more present in my art as well. Because I'm also interested. So before I made some portraits, and I know that that's also a path I'm interested in, like not just my soul searching, but to another's through a portrait. It's interesting.
And you always did art, but now you're like diving into it more as you study art.
Well, as I mentioned you, that one of my first memories, I remember that in kindergarten I'm drawing, and you know, like there are these songs who stick in your head, and I had a drawing which was stick into my head, which was like a worm, or I don't know, earthworm or something under the stars, and I was drawing this like I think a year or many.
Wow.
And this is my memory that no I'm drawing that one. And then I went to a school which they had drawing department, or and we were doing animal. I don't really like this word because it's so strange, but do you know what it means? Like it's a metal work, so you paint on the metal and put into the oven, and like 1,000 degrees Celsius. And so I was doing that for all these primary school years.
Wow.
And any other techniques, but after that I went to a really good high school which was bilingual, and I got really I mean I was always interested in analyzing things, and then after that high school I decided to go to academic studies, so I studied sociology, and then I came back to art.
Do you think as a kid you were also making reflection of yourself when you did art, or is it totally new now?
Yes, I was thinking of, because when you mentioned this topic, that identity, so we can approach it from many sides, and one of them, so I think when I was looking back to my children drawings or things, there was this worm. But also like I was doing a lot of like, I don't know, before 20th century or like before modernism kind of clothes, you know, like princesses, but not just like that. I remember specifically one which I found that I depicted my family like that, like, you know, like a ruler family or something, which is interesting because back then there was not so much TV, or that how these things came to my mind, I don't know. And especially that my family is from East Hungary and from a village, so they didn't ever wore these clothes, or I don't know. So somehow I think that my identity, so I believe in parallel lives or past lives, and like not just Earth life, and that's how I see myself, that coming from somewhere else and here playing this Earth game with different lives, and probably my previous ones were from another, like from different parts of the world, but in Europe a few centuries before. So and we carry these memories somewhere in the subconscious. And that's how it's interesting. But because I never really could identify myself with Hungary, so I always, since child, I also felt like more like Europe, not just this Hungarian thing. But this is, since I'm not living there, it was also changing. Like being here as a Hungarian made more accent to the Hungary thing than the European one.
So you feel more Hungarian now than you did in Hungary, or?
Yes, in a way.
Maybe just compared to the people around you.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Why do you think you might have been more in touch with your past lives than someone else?
Yeah, probably it can play a role that this East Hungary thing is really like boring in a way, like it's really flat. And also I think where you live, or the nature or the surroundings made an effect of the consciousness of the people who are living there. So it's like really flat, the people's mind there as well. So I think I had to use my imagination, and also like all these things we have in ourselves, and I was focused on that since childhood as a bit of an escape.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, maybe something similar drove me from the US, because it seemed boring to me or something. And therefore I went totally the opposite direction, or so, like much, I don't know. But would you ever try to recreate some of your drawings from childhood?
Not yet.
No. Why not yet?
I don't know, as I'm away for a long time. I mean, because I moved to Budapest when I was 18 or 19, so since then I don't really have access. I mean, I visit my family, but like I saw the drawings, but
Okay. And you wouldn't recreate them from memory or something?
I don't know.
Like the
worm.
The worm.
Maybe that would be interesting. Yeah.
Do you feel like more in touch with your like your other lives now, or when you were a child?
As I'm more conscious now, probably yes.
Yeah, but I guess that wouldn't happen with everyone, maybe, because children are more open to something like that, maybe.
Yeah, my theory is that children still have the purest access to many dimensions, and then we forget more, and then we can return.
And that's what you did.
Or try to do.
Did you you thought about the concept of identity in your art before?
Well, as I have a academic background in art, I try to avoid these things, like really specifically do theory or like making concepts or verbalize things.
What do you mean?
That I rather paint or do the things than really conceptualize it and talking about them. So when I can afterwards talk about them, but it's not like that I have an idea verbally or like really specific concepts and I want to realize them. It's more the other way.
Okay, yeah. I feel like that's quite common with the artists I'm talking to, that they don't really know why they're doing something. They feel called to do it. I guess, yeah, I'm not an artist, and maybe that's why, but I would never go about it that way, I think. Actually, that's not true. With the podcast, for instance, like,
or with your traveling.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna get out of it, but I'm gonna do it. Yeah. And you think that's better, or just the way you do it?
The way I do it.
Yeah.
There is no better or worse.
Sure. So every piece of your art says something different about you. Yeah.
Like fractions of mirror, probably.
Like fractions of a mirror. Do you ever feel like you need to make 10 fractions of a mirror at once? Like all of your painting inspiration comes at once and you have to choose which direction to go?
As I don't have many space, I always have to choose. But somehow I like jumping between things. I think it helps to a bit confuse the conscious mind, which tries to structure things. So I usually do, or I need to do like something figurative, and besides that or after that something abstract, and like jumping in between these things.
Since your art has so much to do with yourself, and you did say you want to move towards portraits of other people maybe, but what would happen if you were to like collaborate with someone else and make art together with someone? Would that work?
That's interesting. In Hungary, my studio mates were doing this a lot, and I did never. I don't know. It probably, I'm sure it would be interesting, and I would like to try, but let's see if there is a person who matches or clicks in a way.
Yeah, how would you know if they click?
It can be totally the opposite as well, so I don't know.
That maybe you make something with someone who doesn't click.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because also my other thing which drives me, it comes from, so first of all, acceptance, because I had so much shame or like shyness, and mostly shame. And even when I get into the university, and I think the first few years were about like fighting this feeling, and I think many artists feel like this, or I hear this a lot, that they are never content and they are hating their things, and this feeling of not being good enough. And my teacher there was also, so in a way she helped me overcome this feeling, because she was overdoing it, like very critical, and somehow I had to find a way of this judgment, because I was very judgy, but she was as well, and it really paralyzed me. So I had to deliberate myself from that feeling, Oh, and what was the question? Sorry.
No, this is interesting either way. I forgot my question too. But so how did you overcome that? Like, so your teacher was...
Yeah, once she said that if we put out at the end of the year exhibition this painting, we could just easily close the school. And then she said that she didn't mean like that, but still, you know, like, how else can you mean that? Anyways. And yeah, like going this way, that there is no good or bad. And I think something clicked when I had to make some presentation for a course, and then I had to see like 2 years work or something, and as I had a distance from them, it didn't feel so like close, and I had the feeling that okay, they are not so bad as I remembered. And then I went into this, that everything is so relative that it doesn't matter at the end.
Can you explain that more? Everything is so relative that it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, I think I understand, but
this example that I felt, I remember that, those paintings are so shit, I hate them. And years later when I saw them, I was like, oh, they are not so bad. So I could see them as if not I made them or something. So the distance somehow helped. And when I'm seeing other people's work also, I can be judgy, but on the other hand, who am I to tell, or who cares? My opinion. And I could somehow apply this thought to myself as well, that who cares at the moment that was happened, and now it's a different one, so everything is all the time changing, and my opinion as well. So as nothing matters, then just enjoy it, maybe.
Nothing matters.
So since then, and of course it's not always working. Sometimes I have this feeling that when it comes out, it feels strange, that oh my god, I did this. But then the time passes, maybe an hour or days, and I feel like yeah, it's interesting, and somehow the meaning deepens, or yeah.
I like that. There's like plenty of famous artists who I don't like what they did. So you could be making great art that everyone likes except for yourself, for instance.
That's the saddest, no?
Yeah. But at least if you can be happy with it.
Yeah, so I realized that this feeling counts, how I feel, and I don't want to feel bad for what I do. And this means not just art, but in general.
Yeah. What do you think it means to like something? Like, for instance, if you make art that expresses yourself and then you don't like it, but someone else does, like, what could possibly be going on there? I mean, obviously, when it's yourself, you could be judgmental and saying, oh, this is too personal, or...
No, it's not. But that's the point. This is what I'm really learning, that how to be not judgmental with myself in the first place, and that the others comes from that. That's a good feeling, but also like my art making doesn't depends on others' opinions and not on my opinion either. Yeah. So this is what I reached, and I'm really happy to get there, because before didn't have this. That's a freedom, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good when somebody. So and as I'm using this as a kind of a tool for being more free and this is the energy I pour into it. I'm happy when somebody else can relate and maybe live a similar liberation as well.
Yeah. If you feel sort of neutral about something, like you say it doesn't matter, you're making a piece of art and you hate it, but you say it doesn't matter, it's probably okay. How do you motivate yourself to finish it?
I think I always work quick.
Okay.
So
that's important.
Yeah. Like, because the energies are changing so quick that I have problem when I have to wait a lot for the white or the yellow and like 2 weeks, and then I already don't feel like that and I have to get back or find another way. But usually I like to do things in one sitting.
Nice. But maybe if you waited 2 weeks and got back into it, it would become something new.
Yeah. And I have to accept that as well.
Yeah.
So it's always about acceptance.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, definitely. That's interesting. I wonder if everyone goes through that, or if that's like a very artist thing. Like if someone is just working at a company and has a family or something, do they have to hate what they do and accept it, and hate what they do and accept it? I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe it depends, or I feel that I have a really strong personality and I have to polish it to be gentle, and this strong personality has really strong views, and therefore, like, you know, like I'm really idealist, and in the past years I realized that that's more like a burden as a blessing, because I have these ideas that things how should be or shouldn't, and it's really limiting. So I explain this with this personality thing, that it's strong, these notions what I have about the world, and it's my way out of it to, okay, I have them, but don't have to make so much accent on them or like meaning to them. And it gives more freedom at the end. But I don't know other people, how do they do it.
Yeah, but maybe it's also can be a blessing to have those strong opinions, because that's probably what gets you to be able to have something to make art about, or right? Like that you care and that you feel things, and because maybe some people are more neutral and therefore they would say what's worth doing.
Yeah, I'm really fighting with this intensity of emotions I have, so yeah, being neutral, I mean, that's what I said, that okay, I don't care, but in fact I really all the time having this fight in myself, but that's the ideal end point, like not caring, but like being neutral in a like an accepting way.
Yeah. Like, you know that you are making art through your emotional roller coaster, and then when you reflect on it, maybe you're at a different point in that roller coaster, and you need to just accept it.
Yeah. That's a good saying. That fucking roller coaster. Yeah. I like those in the US, actually.
Roller coaster. They don't have them in your town in Hungary.
Not so much. We have one which is maybe it's not even working anymore, but it was made of wood, so that was the thrill, that it looked like it will collapse. but also this Hungarian identity, I find it interesting, as it's now a small country, and it's between, like, now the position is between like east and west, so like literally, but also do you know this theory of like centrum and periphery? Like the first world country is the centrum and the third is the periphery, and Hungary is in between.
Okay.
And culturally also like this east relatedness, but we always want to belong to the west, or like we are torn apart in between these ideas, and being this transitional position in the map as well, like coming and going through us, that's also interesting. But the fact that we are coming from the far east and traveled here, and we are like lonely because we don't have other nations which are like us. So this isolated being with this transitional being, it's really interesting, and I feel that.
Do you feel like that comes out in your art?
Yeah, maybe with this play between the abstract and the figurative as well, and this like taming the tensions too.
Yeah, like it's you are in the center of extremes, pulled in one direction and the other.
Yeah,
interesting. And why would you say that you don't have any similar countries? Because even your neighbors are not similar to Hungary.
No, because our tribe came from the Far East, from the Ural, and there were many other tribes, and we were living together. But when we decided to come here, and it was like hundreds of years of traveling, because we settled here a bit and there, and then we settled in the Christian Europe, but we weren't Christian back then. So we had to give up our shamanism kind of religion and way of life. And I think this torn apartness is still there.
Yeah.
And
How do you
the
feel
language is also alone, because they say that we are in the family with the Finnish people, but they are so far linguistically that we don't understand each other. So I don't have this feeling, so I cannot imagine how Hungarian sounds, because there is nothing similar like that.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, like the Slavic languages that they in a bit understand each other, or like I speak Spanish and I can read a bit French or understand Italian a bit. And I don't have this feeling with the Hungarian.
Okay. Yeah. And how do you feel that in Hungary today?
What do you mean?
Like, what do you think it shows? How do you think it shows in, for instance, your town where you come from? In like the mentality of the people, or? I
think in a way it's a big problem now, because this narrative is used from the government and overused, and as a propaganda that we are so fucking unique, we have to stand alone and we know it better. But that shouldn't be the point. So it could be, I would be happy more with a narrative that, okay, we have some unique qualities, and how can we use this in a community?
Yeah.
But they are more isolating us, I think, from the European Union as well. But they do with the country, like, maybe let's get not into this, but
okay.
Yeah, so
Sure.
I think we are not going in a right way, but as they destroyed the education system for like 10, 20 years, I don't really see a way out.
Okay.
Because people are so poor usually that they cannot travel, so they don't really have access to relationship with others, or like, you know, like even seeing themselves in the reflection of others.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
Yeah.
But there are like a really tiny layer of the society, like me, who can travel or like still have some programs like Erasmus. So there is a tiny little hope which I support, and I believe in it, but I don't know if that is enough in the long term.
Do you want to somehow bring your art and experiences to Hungary and sort of bring new perspectives to people?
It would be nice.
Yeah.
And I hope it will happen. But my experience was that when I was there, I was not needed. So somehow, I mean, it was, for example, in the university, it was different with my mates, of course. But from the teachers, or in general the system, I felt that they just either don't understand what I'm doing, or they don't even want to understand it. But I felt rejected. And that's also a thing which Hungary usually do, that reject a lot of people, and when they can have a life in maybe a successful one in abroad, and after that, oh, come back, we love you, we're proud of you, that's a Hungarian. Hungarians are so great, but when you are there, you just don't really feel appreciated many times.
Okay.
But I hope this will change.
Yeah. Maybe you can help. What happens when people try to label your art?
I don't know, can they?
I don't know. Can they?
Lately, as I was having this pause in the society, like not being there so much. That's why I don't know what are the labels to my thing lately.
Do you label yourself?
Not. But that teacher I mentioned, she labeled it dilettante. So, dilettante. That's not an English word.
Dilettante.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a... No, I don't know.
Like not professional and lame.
Lame.
And actually, I really like to play with that putting some things there which shouldn't be there.
Yeah, maybe like a label that's considered negative and using it positively. Like maybe people, I don't know, you could take pride in like being gay, for instance, and then start using that word positively or something, right? And then you change the whole connotation, or
Yeah.
I guess.
But and that's also a bit related to what I said, like being this all the time transitional, like between borders somehow, that I feel related to. There is this, it's not a movement, but outsider art, which means that people who are outside of the canon. But I'm technically not, because as I'm still studying at the academy, that excludes me from there. But I also feel not really belonging to this academic discourse either. So I don't know. But I really liked once I saw a documentary about the outsider art, and this is what I'm also doing, or like really I can relate that those artists are not having a conversation through the art history, like, you know, constantly using the topics, or like conversating with like an artist from the other century, quoting it or something, but having a monologue. And I feel like I'm doing that also,
making a monologue.
because I'm not really, or sometimes accidentally pops up some things which could refer to art history. For example, this Medusa head motif came to me last year, but that just came, so I wasn't specifically like choosing that Medusa and diving into the art historian predecessors and things.
So you identify as an outsider.
Yeah, kind of.
How does it affect your art that you are here in Germany?
As I was still outside of the university in this past 2 years.
Oh yeah.
Then I don't know.
Okay.
Now I'm still in this cocoon thing, which affected my art like really in a good way. Like, what's the word? Like blooming. It was blooming because I actually, since I'm here, I made more things than in the 4 years in Hungary at the university, like double or triple more.
I also do a lot when I'm in a new place and I'm a little bit lonely or so. Then there's so much time, right? Is that what it's about for you?
Not just the time, I think. So for me, it's like breathing. So I do this when I have more things to attend or people to meet. I also always prioritize doing art if I have this urge to do it.
Yeah.
And as I always have it, or usually.
So how did you make more?
Maybe the since I'm here, the resources were more generous. Like I had more money for buying supplies, and as I didn't have this constant battle with the system, or like the arguments with the teachers, or with the fucking requirements. So I could use that space and energy to what I would like to do.
Yeah. And those were all because you weren't in university?
No, because when I was here one semester, it started there. So here they don't have this attitude, I think.
Okay.
To really make rules how to do things, or asking a lot of things. So they give more freedom.
Do you think you will be even more free to produce things once you're not in a university?
But this is what I was doing. So now I am going back, and let's see how that will have an effect.
Back in Dresden.
Okay. Yeah. But I think it will open other doors, maybe collaborations, or like there is this phenomenon I observed, that when you are in a studio with people, somehow after a while you can see how these people subconsciously influenced each other. So that's an interesting experience I'm looking forward to, and I'm afraid of. At the same time,
it makes a lot of sense to me. Do you have an example of like somehow that artists in the studio influenced each other?
For example, this green thing, I hated green, and next to me, my studio mate was using a lot of green, and by the end of the year, I realized that I started using some green as well, but now we are sitting in front of a green canvas, so
Wow.
yes.
But I would have expected it to be like you say, but actually Lucas, who I interviewed yesterday, he said that he's looking forward to not being in the studio because he thinks that all the artists are doing such different things, and that he wants to be more around people. Or maybe he wants to be more alone, or with people who are more doing the same kind of art as him, because he thinks that like somehow everyone is just taking such different approaches that it doesn't match with his path.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, this setting actually that I'm living in the studio, it's the most ideal for me. But as I know that this will be like a limited time that I'm going back to the art community in this studio setting. So now my intention is to use it beneficially.
Learn from people.
Like maybe just from being there.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid of that as well.
Why are you afraid?
So I think I will keep this as well, so that I will paint here too and having a space in the studio. Because yeah, like many people in a small place together doing art can be really intense, and yeah, I need more silence and focus on myself, and these are maybe too much distraction, or can be. So I'm afraid of, like this period that I have to get used to, and also I don't really know my classmates yet, so that's like social awkwardness.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of. Yeah,
Nice. You will find a balance, I guess.
I hope.
Cool. Well, that was really nice conversation.
Thank you, I enjoyed it as well. It was a nice surprise.
Yeah, yeah. It's always a surprise for me. Like, it's such an excuse to connect with someone and have a conversation that we wouldn't have otherwise had.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.